Do you believe that emotional abuse is somehow less dangerous than physical abuse just because it doesn't leave a bruise or a scar? Because let me tell you, your body doesn't care whether the threat is a punch to the face or a constant emotional ambush. Biologically speaking, it reacts the same damn way. And here's the kicker: if you're living under the psychological warfare of a narcissist, you are marinating. Yes, marinating in stress hormones like cortisol every single day. And that ain't just making you moody or tired. Chronic cortisol exposure is medically linked to heart disease, autoimmune disorders, diabetes, even cancer. So if you've been sitting there thinking, maybe it's all in my head, I'm here to tell you, it's in your blood, it's in your organs. It's a slow, methodical poisoning of your body. So now let me break this down for you, because this is not just about psychology, it's about biology. I'm talking about your central nervous system here. You've heard of fight or flight, right? That's your body's natural alarm system. It's designed to save your life when you're running from a saber-toothed tiger. The system fires up, adrenaline floods in, heart starts pounding, your body gets ready to fight or run like hell. But here's the deal. That system was built for short bursts. You encounter danger, survive it, then your system calms down. But, and this is a big but, when you're dealing with a narcissist, you don't get that reset. You are living with that tiger in the same damn room every day. You're constantly walking on eggshells, waiting for the next explosion, the next backhanded insult, the next stone-cold silent treatment. And every time you anticipate that next ambush, your body fires up that same fight or flight system, but you never get to come back down. Your body is stuck in overdrive. And it doesn't know the difference between a tiger coming for your throat or your narcissist coming for your soul. You ever wonder why you're exhausted all the time, foggy, can't think straight? It's because your system is fried. And if nobody's told you that, I'm telling you now, you are not lazy, you are not weak, you are not crazy, you are biologically spent because your body is trying to survive a war zone that nobody else can see. And let me ask you this, have you been getting more headaches than you used to? Stomach issues? Maybe your doctor's throwing around words like IBS but can't find anything wrong. How about those weird body aches? Or you're getting sick all the time because your immune system just won't cooperate. And don't get me started on the crushing fatigue that has you crawl into bed but waking up just as tired. That is not coincidence. That is not random. That's your body waving the white flag. It's screaming, I can't keep up with this. And yet you're pushing through, thinking you're just being sensitive or dramatic. Let me tell you, you're not. That headache, that's not random. That's your body screaming for a ceasefire. That exhaustion, that is not because you're lazy, it's adrenal fatigue from living on high alert 24/7. And listen, I'm going to stop right here and say, let's make this a conversation. I know I'm not the only one who's seen this up close. I want you to hit those comments, send me a message, do whatever you got to do, but tell me honestly, what physical symptoms have YOU noticed that got worse the longer you stayed in that toxic relationship? Because I guarantee you, you're not imagining it, it is real. And we need to talk about it. See, when we talk about the toxic signs of a narcissist, folks think we're just talking about a bruised ego or hurt feelings. No, we're talking about systemic abuse so profound that it rewires your brain, corrodes your body, and sets you up for chronic illness. This is a biological attack masquerading as a relationship. So let's be absolutely clear here, you are not weak. You are not overly sensitive. You are not crazy. You are having a normal biological reaction to an absolutely abnormal environment. And until you recognize the poison for what it is, you're going to keep swallowing it and calling it stress. But trust me, it's so much more than stress. It is a slow poison, and recognizing it, that's the first damn step to getting it out of your system. So I'm going to leave you with this. What you're feeling in your mind is real, but what's happening in your body? That's the proof. The trauma they're inflicting on you is turning into disease. And if nobody else has told you that, I'm here to tell you, this is your wake-up call. Of all the weapons in the narcissist arsenal, the most vicious, the most insidious is gaslighting. Why? Because it's not designed to just win an argument. It's designed to make you question your own mind. It's psychological erosion. By the time you get through getting gaslit by a narcissist, you're going to be doubting your own damn name. Let me tell you, I've seen this play out in countless lives over my 45 years in this field, and it's heartbreaking. These folks aren't just twisting words, they're twisting your reality, making you feel like you're losing your grip. And trust me, it's deliberate. It's a strategy, plain and simple, to keep you off balance and under their thumb. Let me break this down for you, because understanding the tactic is the first step to spotting it before it sinks its hooks in deeper. One of the classic moves is direct denial. They'll flat out say something never happened even when you know damn well it did. I never said that. You're making that up. Boom. Just like that. They're rewriting history, and you're left standing there replaying the moment in your head, wondering if maybe you got it wrong. But you didn't. You know you didn't. These people are masters at this, and they do it with a straight face, no hesitation. It's chilling how convincing they can be, but remember, it's all about control. They deny to make you doubt. Then there's questioning your sensitivity. Oh, this one's sneaky. They'll turn your valid reaction into some kind of flaw in you. I was just joking, don't be so sensitive. It's not me, you're crazy. Sound familiar? Let me ask you, have you ever held back from speaking up because you were afraid of being labeled as overreacting? That's exactly what they want. They flip the script so your feelings become the problem, not their behavior. You start second-guessing every emotion, every response. Am I too sensitive? Am I imagining this? No, you're not. But they plant that seed and it grows. It makes you afraid to voice your feelings, to stand up for yourself. And let me tell you, that's a dangerous place to be because it silences you bit by bit. And don't get me started on withholding and diverting. You ask a direct question, something straightforward like, why did you say that? And what do? They change the subject or turn it back on you. Why are you trying to start a fight? You're just trying to confuse me. It's deflection at its finest. They won't engage, won't answer, because facing the truth would mean losing ground. Instead, they dodge and weave, leaving you frustrated and spinning. I've had people in my office describe this like trying to grab smoke. It's there, but you can't hold on to it. And over time, it wears you down. You stop asking, stop pushing, because what's the point? But that's their win. They keep you chasing shadows. Now let's get real about the ultimate goal here. They do all this to destabilize you. If you don't trust your own reality, you become easier to control. You start depending on their version of events, their narrative. Think about it. When you're constantly questioning yourself, who's calling the shots? They are. You hand over your power without even realizing it. It's like they're the director of your life story, and you're just an actor following their script. And let me emphasize this, it's not accidental. These aren't slip-ups or misunderstandings. It's a calculated move to keep you reliant on them, to make sure you're always one step behind. You become their puppet, doubting your every move. And if you're nodding along right now thinking, that's me, listen up, recognizing this is your lifeline out. All right, let's talk about the emotional trauma of living in what feels like a funhouse mirror. This constant questioning of your reality. It's a direct path to anxiety disorders. You live in a state of confusion and self-doubt day in and day out. Your mind is always racing. Did that really happen? Am I remembering it right? It's exhausting, folks. Your brain is wired for certainty, for trusting what you see and hear, but gaslighting flips it upside down. You start feeling on edge all the time, like the ground could shift under your feet any second. And that anxiety, it doesn't stay put. It seeps into everything. Your work, your sleep, your sense of peace. I've seen it turn confident people into shells of themselves, always waiting for the next twist. Worse yet, it isolates you. How do you explain this to a friend? He says he never said that, but I know he did. You start to sound unstable even to yourself. So what do? You stop talking about it. You pull back, keep it all inside because who would believe you? And that's the trap. Isolation creeps in, and suddenly your world shrinks. No one to bounce ideas off, no one to confirm your reality. You're alone with their version of the truth, and it feels like quicksand. Let me tell you, that's not just lonely, it's dangerous. Humans need connection, validation from others, but gaslighting cuts those ties. You doubt your friends, your family, even your own judgment. And before you know it, you're trapped, relying on the very person who's distorting everything. This creates a profound sense of loneliness and a feeling of being trapped in your relationship, isolated from other people. It's like being in a cage you can't see, but you feel the bars closing in. And let me warn you, this is the breeding ground for deep depression. You lose your sense of self because you're told constantly that your perceptions are wrong. That's not what happened. You're overreacting. Over time, you start believing it. Who are you if you can't trust your own mind? Your identity erodes piece by piece. Depression sets in, heavy and unrelenting, because you've been stripped of your confidence, your voice. I've sat with folks who've described it as a slow fade, colors draining from their world until everything's gray. And the trauma, it lingers even after you're out. You carry that doubt, that fear of being crazy long after the relationship ends. Make no mistake, this is brainwashing. It's a slow, methodical chipping away at your sanity. Recognizing gaslighting isn't about winning the argument over what was said yesterday. It's about saving your mind. It's the first sign that you're in deep and the trauma is taking root. If you're hearing this and it hits home, don't ignore it. You've got to reclaim your reality step by step. Trust yourself. You're not crazy. You're not sensitive. You're being manipulated. And let me leave you with this. You deserve a life where your truth matters. Don't let them steal that from you. A classic narcissist will tell you you're an idiot to your face. But the covert narcissist is often more subtle and in many ways more damaging. They specialize in death by 1,000 cuts, a steady drip of criticism, passive aggression, and backhanded compliments that wears you down until you have no self-esteem left. Let me tell you, I've seen this play out in relationships, families, workplaces, you name it. It's not loud and in your face like the overt types. No, these folks are sneaky. They chip away at you bit by bit, leaving you questioning everything about yourself. And trust me, it's intentional. It's how they keep the upper hand without ever raising their voice. Let's get real about who these people are. Remember that famous quote from Theodore Roosevelt, "It is not the critic who counts." Well, covert narcissists, they're the ones in the cheap seats, sniping at everyone actually in the arena. They're not out there taking risks or putting in the work. Oh no. They're on the sidelines throwing shade at anyone who dares to try. Why? Because seeing you succeed makes them feel small and they can't stand it. So they sit back, arms crossed, picking apart every move you make. It's like they're allergic to anyone else's shine. These folks are pros at disguising their digs as helpful advice. Picture this: you share something you're proud of, maybe a project at work or a personal win, and they hit you with, "I'm just trying to help you," but you're too thin-skinned. Boom, suddenly your achievement is turned into a flaw in you. It's not about what you did, it's about how you're overreacting or not seeing it right. And let me ask you, have you ever walked away from a conversation like that feeling smaller than when you started? That's their game. They make you doubt yourself so you'll stop trying, stop shining, and start depending on their wisdom. It's control, pure and simple. Then there's the passive-aggressive zingers. Oh, these are gold for them. Phrases like, "must be nice." You know, when you tell them about a promotion or a vacation, and they respond with that loaded line, "must be nice to have all that free time," or "must be nice to afford that." It's not a compliment. It's a way to invalidate your hard work, make it seem like you didn't earn it. This is what I call leveling behavior. They can't stand feeling beneath you, so they tear you down to feel on your level, or better yet, above it. Research shows narcissists often use these tactics to exploit others and maintain power, leaving victims with eroded self-worth. It's exhausting, folks. You start second-guessing every success, wondering if it's really yours or just luck, and don't expect a sincere compliment from them ever. Any praise for you feels like it's at their expense. They see life as a zero-sum game. If you're up, they're down. I've shared this before, but let me tell you about my own father. In 43 years, he never once said, "I'm proud of you." Not after college, not after building a career, nothing. Why? Because acknowledging my wins would mean taking the spotlight off him, even for a second. That's the covert narcissist parent in action. They withhold validation like it's a weapon, leaving their kids starving for approval that never comes. If you're nodding along, thinking of someone in your life, listen up. That's not love, that's manipulation. Living under this constant microscope. It creates a state of perfectionism and anxiety that'll eat you alive. You feel like you can't do anything right. Every decision, every action gets scrutinized and twisted into something wrong. Why'd you do it that way? I would have done it better. Or worse, the silent judgment, the eye rolls, the sighs. You start walking on eggshells trying to be perfect just to avoid the next cut. But here's the truth, you'll never be good enough in their eyes. That's the point. They need you chasing that impossible standard, so you're too busy fixing yourself to see how toxic they are. It crushes your ambition. 2. Why bother starting a new project or going for that promotion when you know it'll be mocked or belittled? Oh, you think you're special now. They're experts at making you believe your gifts are unseen and undiscovered. You have talents, dreams, potential, but they bury them under layers of doubt. I've sat with people who've lost years of their lives to this. They forget their own spark because it's been dimmed so long. And let me be clear, this isn't just emotional wear and tear. Constant criticism like this leads to real trauma, wiring your brain for self-doubt and anxiety. This directly causes emotional disease. When your self-worth is systematically destroyed, you become prone to depression, social anxiety, and a complete loss of identity. You forget who you were before you were around them. The confident person, gone. Replaced by someone who's always apologizing, always shrinking. Studies link this kind of narcissistic abuse to profound effects like PTSD, low self-esteem, and even physical symptoms from chronic stress. Your body keeps score. Headaches, fatigue, that knot in your stomach, it's not in your head. It's the toll of never being good enough. Think about it. You're pouring energy into earning approval from someone who's wired not to give it. They thrive on your insecurity because it keeps you small, manageable. You start isolating yourself, avoiding risks, dimming your light just to keep the peace. But peace, that's an illusion. The cuts keep coming, and before you know it, you're a shadow of yourself battling depression that feels like it'll never lift. This isn't just a negative person. This is a strategic campaign to dismantle your confidence. The goal is to make you feel so small that you're easier to manage. If you spend your days trying to earn the approval of someone who is incapable of giving it, you are signing up for a lifetime of emotional exhaustion and the diseases that come with it. Let me tell you straight, you deserve better. Recognize this for what it is, abuse disguised as concern. Start trusting your own voice again. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not cut you down. You've got gifts the world needs, and no one gets to bury them. Break free, reclaim your worth, and watch how life opens up when you're not bleeding from 1,000 invisible wounds. Have you ever noticed that the longer you're with this person, the smaller your world gets? Your friends have drifted away. You don't see your family as much. That is not an accident. That is a tactic. A key sign of a controlling, narcissistic personality is systematically quarantining you from your support system. Let me tell you, I've seen this in countless cases over my years in this field. Folks who start out with a vibrant circle of friends and family, only to end up isolated, doubting themselves, and totally dependent on the very person who's pulling the strings. It's sneaky, it's deliberate, and it's one of the most damaging things they do. These people don't just want your attention, they want to be your everything. And trust me, if you're feeling that slow shrink in your social life, it's time to wake up and see it for what it is. Let's talk about how they pull this off, because it's not always obvious. One of their go-to moves is making any outing with friends or family a total nightmare. Picture this. You finally plan a dinner with your old buddies or a visit to your parents, and what happens? They're sullen the whole time, sitting there with a face like thunder, making snide little remarks under their breath. Oh, great, another story about how perfect your life was before me. Or they just sigh dramatically every 5 minutes, sucking all the joy out of the room. It's passive-aggressive warfare, folks. They don't yell or forbid you outright. That would be too obvious. No, they make it so miserable that next time you think, why bother? It's not worth the hassle. And just like that, you've canceled plans without them even asking. I've had clients describe it like a slow poison, one bad night after another, and suddenly you're choosing to stay home to avoid the drama. But here's the truth. That's their win. They're training you to isolate yourself bit by bit. Then there's the gaslighting of your relationships. And oh boy, this one's a doozy. They'll plant these seeds of doubt about the people who care about you most. Your family's so controlling. Don't you see how they manipulate you? Or your friends are such a bad influence, they're just jealous of us. It's all wrapped up in fake concern, like they're looking out for you. But let me ask you, have you ever felt guilty for wanting to see your own sister? That's exactly what they want. They'll hit you with lines like, I get it, you need that attention from them. I thought I was enough for you, but hey, if not, let's go. Pure gaslighting, making you feel selfish for having normal connections. It's designed to make you question your loyalties, to feel bad for needing anyone but them. And over time, you start pulling away, thinking maybe they're right, but they're not. This is control, plain and simple, turning your support system into the enemy so you're left relying on them alone. And don't think they stop there. These folks are masters at creating drama and triangulation to blow up your relationships from the inside. They'll stir the pot by telling your friends things you supposedly said about them. Oh, she mentioned you were being so dramatic last week, and then come back to you with, your buddy said you're too wrapped up in me, that I'm changing you. It's like a web of lies, pitting everyone against each other until trust is shattered. No one knows who said what, and suddenly, friendships that lasted years are crumbling. I've seen it destroy families, where siblings stop speaking because of whispers from the narcissist in the middle. It's calculated chaos, folks. They thrive on it because when everyone's fighting, you're isolated, confused, and turning to them for clarity. But that's not clarity. That's manipulation, keeping you off balance and alone. Now let's get into the real trauma of this solitary confinement, because isolation isn't just lonely, it's a weapon that breaks you down. Think about it, abusers and cult leaders have used this tool for ages, and for good reason. When you're cut off from outside perspectives, their twisted version of reality becomes your only truth. You start believing the lies they feed you. You're too sensitive. No one else understands you like I do, because there's no one around to counter it. It's like being in a bubble where their narrative is the air you breathe. And let me tell you, that bubble turns into a prison. You lose touch with who you were, with the people who could remind you of your strength. Suddenly, your world revolves around pleasing them, avoiding their moods, because they're your only source of interaction. This isolation makes you completely dependent on them for your social and emotional needs, and that's a position they exploit like nobody's business. You become their emotional hostage, folks. Need validation, they're the only game in town. Feeling low, they'll dole out affection on their terms, keeping you hooked. It's exhausting, always chasing that crumb of approval. And over time, it erodes your independence. You stop making decisions without their input, stop trusting your own gut. I've sat with people who've described it as losing themselves piece by piece until they're just a shadow reliant on the very person who's starving them emotionally. That's not a relationship, that's captivity, plain and simple. From a health perspective, this loneliness is a killer, literally. It's been shown to be as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, ramping up your risk for dementia, heart disease, and stroke. Your narcissist isn't just hurting your feelings, they're shortening your life. The stress of constant isolation wires your brain for anxiety and depression, leaves you vulnerable to all sorts of physical ailments. You might notice headaches, fatigue, a weakened immune system. your body keeping score of the emotional toll. And in a pandemic like we've seen, that enforced quarantine only amplifies it, turning their tactics into a perfect storm. But remember, this isn't random. It's their strategy to keep you weak and under control. You have to understand they need to be the center of your universe. Anyone else in your life, friends, family, even a hobby, is a threat to their control. If you feel like you're on an island with this person, it's because they towed you there and blew up the bridges. This isolation is a major red flag that the relationship is causing serious emotional and physical harm. Let me tell you straight, if this sounds like your life, it's time to reclaim your world. Start small, reach out to one trusted friend, rebuild those bridges they tried to burn. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not lock you down. You've got the power to break free, to expand your world again. Don't let them quarantine your spirit any longer. You deserve connections that heal, not harm. You know, there are two kinds of people in this world, givers and takers. And narcissists, they're world-class takers. They have zero empathy. They cannot stand in your shoes and feel what you feel. They simply don't care. This creates an empathy vacuum where you are pouring all of your love, care, and energy into a black hole, and they will suck you dry. Let me tell you, I've seen this play out time and time again in my 45 years in this field. These folks aren't just self-absorbed. They're emotional vampires, draining you until there's nothing left. And trust me, if you're in a relationship like this, you're not imagining it. It's real, it's damaging, and it's time to call it what it is. Let's get straight to identifying these takers, because recognizing them is the first step to protecting yourself. They never reciprocate. The conversation is always about them. They don't ask about your day, and if they do, it's not because they care, it's to gather information to use against you later. Picture this: you come home after a rough day, and instead of hearing, "Hey, how are you holding up?" it's all about their drama, their needs, their endless complaints. You pour out your heart, and what do you get? Crickets. Or worse, they twist it back to how it affects them. This isn't a partnership, it's a one-way street where you're the giver, and they're the black hole sucking it all in. Studies show that this lack of reciprocity in narcissistic relationships leads to profound emotional exhaustion. You're left feeling unseen, unheard, and utterly depleted. And here's the kicker: they exploit your kindness. Narcissists, especially the covert ones, pair up with empathetic people like you. They prey on your desire to help and rescue. They see your kindness not as a gift, but as a weakness to be exploited. Think about it: you're the type who feels deeply, who wants to fix things to make it better. They spot that from a mile away and latch on. Oh, poor me. They say, reeling you in with their sob stories, making you feel like you're the only one who understands. But it's a trap. They feed off your compassion, using it to control you, to keep you hooked. I've had clients describe it like being slowly drained drop by drop until they can't even recognize themselves anymore. Research highlights how narcissists target empaths, turning their empathy into a tool for manipulation. Your big heart becomes their supply, and before you know it, you're running on empty, wondering why you feel so hollow. Then there's how they view your success as a threat. Because they have no empathy, they can't be happy for you. Your success doesn't inspire them, it makes them envious, and they take it personally. They see life as a competition, and your win is their loss. Let me ask you, have you ever shared a victory, something you're proud of, only to have it shot down or ignored? That's nice, but remember when or they one-up you, turning your moment into theirs. It's like they're allergic to your shine. I remember a client who got a promotion after years of hard work, and her narcissistic partner responded with, "Must be nice to have everyone kissing up to you. No congratulations, no joy, just resentment." This stems from their fragile ego. Your achievements highlight their insecurities. They can't celebrate you because it feels like a hit to them. Over time, this chips away at your confidence, making you dim your own light just to keep the peace. But peace, that's an illusion with these folks. Now, let's talk about the trauma of being emotionally starved, because this is where the real damage sets in. Being in a relationship with no empathy is profoundly lonely. It's a key reason you can be in a relationship but feel completely alone. You're right there sharing a life, maybe even a bed, but emotionally, it's like shouting into a void. They don't get your pain, your joys, your fears, because they can't or won't. I've sat with folks who've said, I'm married, but I've never felt more isolated. That loneliness isn't just sad, it's a killer, ramping up risks for anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues like heart disease. You're pouring everything into this black hole, hoping for a scrap of connection, but it never comes. It's exhausting, folks, and it wears you down to the bone. It leads to what we call compassion fatigue or emotional burnout. You're constantly giving support, but receiving none, which drains your emotional and physical reserves. Day in, day out, you're the one listening, comforting, fixing, while they take. Your tank runs dry, and suddenly you're irritable, foggy, headed, unable to focus. You might start getting headaches, losing sleep, or feeling that constant knot in your stomach. This isn't weakness. It's your body screaming for relief from the chronic stress. Narcissistic abuse rewires your brain for exhaustion, leaving you prone to burnout where everything feels overwhelming. I've seen confident people reduced to shadows, barely able to get through the day. And let me tell you, that's not living. It's surviving in a vacuum where your efforts vanish without a trace. This whole setup creates a trauma bond that's hard to break. You keep trying harder and harder to get a crumb of affection or validation. And this cycle of intermittent reinforcement is highly addictive and incredibly damaging. It keeps you stuck, hoping they'll change, but they won't. One day they're charming, tossing you a bone of kindness. The next they're cold, withdrawing it all. It's like a slot machine. You pull the lever over and over, chasing that rare win. But it's rigged. This bond forms because your brain gets hooked on those fleeting highs, ignoring the lows. You rationalize, if I just love them more, they'll see. But they don't. They can't. Their lack of empathy means they view your efforts as their due, not something to reciprocate. It's addictive, yes, but it's poisoning you slowly, leading to deep depression and a loss of self. A healthy relationship is a give and take. A relationship with a narcissist is a one-way street leading to your emotional bankruptcy. If you feel drained, exhausted, and unseen after every interaction, that's a toxic sign. You are dealing with an emotional vampire, and the long-term health cost is just too high. Let me be straight with you. If this rings true, it's time to reclaim your energy. Stop pouring into that black hole. Surround yourself with people who give back, who see you, who fill your cup instead of draining it. You've got too much light to let it be sucked away. Break the bond, rebuild your reserves, and watch how life feels alive again. You deserve reciprocity, not a vacuum. Don't let them bankrupt your soul any longer. Let's talk about something concrete. Let's talk about money and favors. With a narcissist, there is never a gift. There is always an obligation. Every dollar they give you, every favor they do, comes with steel cables attached. They use it as bait to hook you, as leverage to own you. And it's a toxic sign that you are being controlled. Let me tell you, I've seen this play out in so many lives over my career. These folks aren't just tight with their wallet. They're using it as a chain to keep you in line. It's not about sharing resources, it's about owning you body and soul. And trust me, if you're feeling that constant tug of owing them, it's not generosity, it's manipulation, pure and simple. Let's dive into recognizing this financial and transactional abuse, because spotting it early can save you years of heartache. One of the big red flags is when they insist on controlling all the finances. They'll take over the bank accounts, dole out an allowance like you're a child, and make you justify every single penny you spend. Why did you need that coffee? We could have saved that money. Sound familiar? This isn't about being fiscally responsible or budgeting wisely. Oh no, that's just the cover story. It's a power play, folks. They want you dependent, always coming back hat in hand, begging for approval on basic needs. I've had clients describe it like living in a cage where they control the door. You start second-guessing every purchase, every decision, because they've wired you to believe you can't handle money without them. But here's the truth, it's not about the dollars. It's about stripping away your independence, making sure you're always one step from financial ruin without their help. And speaking of help, let's talk about the gift as a weapon. The last thing you ever want from a covert narcissist is a gift. Because, oh my God, are you going to pay for that? They will hold it over your head forever. After I bought you that car, remember that trip I paid for? It's like every present comes with an invisible invoice that never gets paid off. I remember a woman in my office who got a generous loan from her narcissistic husband to start a small business. Sounded great at first, right? But every argument, every disagreement, he'd drag it out. I gave you that money, and this is how you repay me. It wasn't a gift, it was ammunition. These folks don't give freely. They invest in control. That car, that vacation, that favor becomes a lifelong debt, reminding you who's really in charge. And let me ask you, have you ever felt guilty for something nice they did, like it came with strings you didn't see? That's their game. They bait the hook with kindness, then reel you in when you least expect it, turning your gratitude into guilt. Then there's sabotaging your career, and this one's sneaky because it masquerades as concern. They might discourage you from taking a promotion or a better job because your financial independence is a threat to their control. Why rock the boat? We're fine as is. Or they'll complain endlessly about their own dead-end job but mock you for trying to improve yours. Oh, you think you're too good for us now. It's all about keeping you small, dependent, unable to stand on your own 2 feet. Think about it. If you make more money, if you build your own security, their leverage evaporates. I've seen men and women alike crushed by this. Folks with real potential, dreams of advancement, but their narcissistic partner plants seeds of doubt. You'll fail without me? Who needs the stress? It's not support, it's sabotage, designed to clip your wings so you can't fly away. And over time, you start believing it, turning down opportunities because the emotional cost feels too high. But let me be clear, that's not love talking, that's fear. Their fear of losing the puppet strings. Now let's get into the trauma of being in their debt, because this isn't just about bank accounts. It's about the soul-crushing weight it puts on you. This setup creates a constant feeling of powerlessness and dependence. If you can't leave because you're financially trapped, no savings, no control over the money, maybe even joint debts they've racked up in your name, the emotional trauma deepens into a sense of hopelessness. You're stuck, folks, like a fly in a web, always one wrong move from disaster. I've sat with people who've said, I want out, but how? They control everything. That hopelessness isn't accidental. It's the point. It breeds despair, making you feel like escape is impossible, like you're nothing without them. And that feeling, it festers, turning into a daily grind of fear and resignation. You stop dreaming, stop planning, because what's the use? They're the puppet master, pulling strings you can't even see, and you're left dangling, powerless to cut free. The stress of this financial insecurity is immense. It's a direct line to anxiety, insomnia, and the physical diseases that follow. You're living with a constant, low-grade fear of what will happen if you don't comply. Maybe they'll cut off the allowance, freeze the accounts, or worse, leave you buried in debt. That chronic stress, it floods your body with cortisol day in and day out, leading to real health issues, high blood pressure, weakened immune systems, even heart problems. Let me tell you, I've seen it firsthand, clients with ulcers, migraines, sleep disorders that started the moment the financial control kicked in. Your body doesn't know the difference between a physical threat and this emotional stranglehold. It reacts the same, wearing you down until you're a shell. And the insomnia. Oh, it's brutal, lying awake at night, replaying every favor they hold over you, wondering how you'll ever break free. It's not just mental. It's a biological assault, turning their control into your disease. Worse yet, it erodes your self-worth. You start to feel like you can't survive on your own, which is exactly what the puppet master wants you to believe. See, you need me. They chip away at your confidence, making you doubt your ability to manage money, hold a job, or even function independently. Over time, you internalize it. Maybe I am bad with finances. Maybe I couldn't make it without them. But that's the lie they've sold you. I've watched strong, capable people reduced to doubting their every move, convinced they're helpless. This erosion isn't subtle. It's a slow demolition of your identity, leaving you with low self-esteem, depression, and a fear of the world outside their control. You forget the person you were before, the independent one, the dreamer, because they've rewritten your story as one of dependence. And let me emphasize, that's trauma, folks, the kind that lingers, making you question your worth long after they're gone. Follow the money. Look at the transactions. Is there a spirit of partnership, or is there a spirit of control and obligation? If you feel like you're constantly paying off an unpayable emotional debt, that is a huge toxic sign. They are using resources to keep you small and keep you stuck, and that is a form of abuse that has devastating consequences. Let me tell you straight, you don't owe them your freedom. Reclaim your power, start building your own financial safety net, even if it's small steps. Seek help, talk to a trusted advisor, and remember, true partnership builds you up, doesn't chain you down. You've got the strength to cut those strings. Don't let their debt define you any longer. We've gone through all these specific signs, the gaslighting, the criticism, the isolation. But if you want to boil it all down to one simple, undeniable truth, here it is. Here is the acid test for whether you're dealing with a narcissist who is causing you trauma. I want you to ask yourself this one final question and be brutally honest. Do you feel worse about yourself when you're around this person than you did before you were around them? A healthy relationship should make you feel better about yourself. You should feel supported, seen, and uplifted. If you consistently walk away from interactions feeling drained, confused, anxious, ashamed, or smaller than you were before, you have your answer. Your body and your spirit are telling you the truth. Let me break this down because I've seen it play out in so many lives over my 45 years in this field. Think about it. After spending time with this person, do you leave feeling like you've been emotionally sucker punched? Maybe your confidence takes a hit, or you're replaying every word, wondering if you're the problem. That's not normal, folks. In a real partnership, you should walk away energized, not exhausted. But with a narcissist, it's like they've got a vacuum sucking out your self-worth. You start doubting your value, your decisions, even your sanity. And trust me, that's no accident. They thrive on making you feel small so they can feel big. Have you ever noticed that knot in your stomach building up before you even see them? Or how about the anxiety that lingers long after they're gone? That's your brain's alarm system going off, screaming that something's wrong. Studies show that constant exposure to this kind of manipulation ramps up your stress hormones, leading to real anxiety disorders where you're always on edge, hypervigilant, waiting for the next blow. You might feel confused, second guessing every interaction, or even ashamed for things that aren't your fault. It's like they're rewriting your inner script, turning your strengths into flaws. And let me ask you, do you catch yourself feeling drained, like you've just run an emotional marathon? That's a classic sign. Your body doesn't lie. That fatigue, those headaches, the sleepless nights, they're red flags waving that this isn't healthy. If you're nodding along thinking, that's me, listen up. These feelings aren't random. They're the direct result of their tactics chipping away at you. You end up isolated, anxious, maybe even depressed, because they've convinced you that you're the issue. But here's the truth: a good relationship lifts you up, makes you feel seen and valued. If every encounter leaves you smaller, more doubtful, that's the acid test failing hard. Your spirit knows the score, trust it. The focus has to be on you and protecting you. You ain't going to change these people. It is way above your pay grade, and frankly, it's above mine too. You must strengthen your relationship with yourself and be your own best friend. Give yourself permission to not feel badly for creating distance. Don't expect an apology. Don't expect them to change. The first step is to stop making excuses for them and see the behavior for what it is: toxic and damaging. Let me tell you about a client I had years ago. She came in always on edge, describing how her partner would twist every conversation, leaving her feeling worthless. We'd talk, and she'd light up, remembering her strengths. But after seeing him, back to square one, anxious, self-doubting like a shadow of herself. That pattern, it's textbook. Recognizing it was her turning point. She started setting boundaries, rebuilding her circle, and slowly that anxiety faded. She reclaimed her spark because she stopped letting his darkness dim her light. If this hits home, start small. Journal those post-interaction feelings, drained, anxious, ashamed. That's your proof. Build distance. Surround yourself with people who uplift you and seek support if the anxiety is overwhelming. Therapy can help unpack that trauma bond where you're hooked on the highs despite the lows. Remember, healthy bonds don't leave you questioning your worth. They reinforce it. Look, I know this is hard to hear, and it's even harder to live. But recognizing these signs is the first step toward reclaiming your life and your health. You deserve to be in relationships that build you up, not tear you down. You deserve peace. You have the power to stop letting their disease become your disease.